Hi guys, what's going on and welcome back to another video. So in today's video we're going to be breeding some zebra Danios. So to breed zebra Danios, it's really easy. So actually all you need is, so I got a container here, and I've also got a plant basket. So in this container you can see I've just used some screws and I've screwed those in there, and I'll show you now in a minute what I'm using those for. So you just need a container, any size is alright really, doesn't really matter. And then you got these pond plant baskets, so they use them actually for pond plants in ponds, but they're perfect for what we need them for. So we're just going to put this pond basket, we're just going to put that right in by there, so on the screws as you can see there, and that'll work perfectly like that. And it needs to be, the reason for that is it needs to be a little bit off the bottom of the container so the eggs can fall through. That's really important because otherwise the parents will actually eat their own eggs, of course, after they've spawned, and we don't want that happening. Right, so at the moment it's about 7 o'clock in the evening, and so we're going to put them in tonight, and then hopefully by the morning they would have spawned, because they like to spawn early-ish in the morning when the lights go on. So that's what we're going to do now in a minute, and then in the morning we'll just take them out here, and there should be eggs then in the bottom of the container. Also very important, of course, is to have a lid on top of the container, because the zebra Danios do like to jump, so you want to make sure they can't jump out. So at the moment it's actually winter here, so I'm going to be hanging this container in a tank that's at 22 degrees. In the summer I would just leave it out because it's warm enough. For now we're going to put it in a tank. So now we're going to talk about how to tell the difference between a male and a female zebra Danio. So it's actually really simple. So this is a male here, and he's really thin basically and long. So that's how you see a male. And this is a female. You can see she's a lot rounder and bigger and got a big belly full of eggs. And that's basically how you tell the difference. There's also a few other things, like the male will have a bit different color, like a bit more goldish color compared to the female. Like the female looks a bit more bland in color. But it's actually really simple, and also from above you'll be able to see really well that the male is like thin and long, and the female is also long, quite long, but a lot thicker and bigger. You also want to make sure you of course condition these guys, so feed them high protein stuff like bloodworms and baby brine shrimp, stuff like that. Frozen foods will really get them conditioned. So I'm going to be setting it up in this middle tank here. So what I'm going to do is grab my container, put it in, and fill it up with water. Just like that. And then I'm going to grab my plant basket and drop that in as well. So as you can see, I've got the container set up with the plant basket in there, so that's all good. And the plant basket is hanging a little, above the bottom of the container, so the eggs can fall through. So that's all good as well. And you want to make sure you have got this, because otherwise the eggs will stay in the basket, the plant basket, and the parents will just eat the eggs. So now I think it's time to add the parents. So actually first I'm going to also add some moss, of course, to the plant basket. So here you can see I got some nice moss here, just a little clump is enough. I'll just chuck that in there and then let it float in there, and they can do their spawning in there in the morning. But now it is time to actually add the parents, or the adults. So here you can see I got the adults. I already told you how to tell the difference between male and female, so you should be good with that. And we're just going to add them now to the plant basket. There we go, that's all done. Now we're going to put the lid on. Before we put the lid on, I'm just going to give you a good look on what's happening like now. So as you can see, they're in there. They are pretty active, and in the morning they should spawn. So we're going to see in the morning what happens. But this is all good for now, so I'm going to put the lid on and I'll get back to you tomorrow morning and we'll see if they've spawned. So last time I showed you how to set everything up to breed the zebra Danios, and now it's a day later and they should have laid eggs. So we're going to have a look. We take off the lid, so here you can see they might still be spawning, but now it's like 8 o'clock, so they should be done for now. So I'm going to take them out and then we're going to have a look if they've laid some eggs. So let's just take some water out and put that in our container, and then we can take the moss out, of course, because we won't be needing that for now. And then we can just net them out. Pretty easy because they can't really swim anywhere. So you can see here the female's a lot thinner, and they're basically a lot thinner. So you can see they've laid eggs, and as you can see here, they've laid hundreds of eggs. So this is a little close-up of the eggs. They look really good. So 4 days later, you can see that they've developed. You can see there's like a little fish forming in the egg, which is a really good sign. And for this video, I've just taken a few apart and put them in a little cup so I can really show you. In reality, I've got like a lot more, like hundreds of them. But I've just taken a few apart to show you. And as you can see, they're developing nicely in the egg, and they're even moving around a little bit, as you can see. And in a couple of days, they should hatch and be free swimming. So 2 days later, you can see that they've fully hatched. They're not inside of the egg anymore, but they are like a little fish. Some of them are already free swimming, some of them are not yet, but in the coming day or two, they will all be free swimming. And this is also the time that you can move them to a larger container, so they can swim around a little bit more and just got a bit more space. Up till now, you don't have to feed them, by the way. We're gonna actually start feeding them from today onwards because they are free swimming, so they should be able to eat a little bit. And as you can see here, some of them are still on the bottom, but some of them are like starting to swim on the surface as well. So to feed them, what we're going to do is we're going to boil an egg. So first you want to boil an egg, of course, let it boil for about 8 minutes. Then you can peel off the egg shell, and what you want to do then is cut the egg in half, so you can see the egg yolk inside, because the egg yolk is the part that you really want, because that's nutritional to the baby fish. It's a really good food for them to grow, and they'll grow really well. So I've just cut the hair in half, and then you want to take just the middle part out, which is pretty easy to do. It's not difficult at all, and that's all we need. The rest of the egg you can throw away, and what you want to be doing then is get a container of water. It doesn't need to be big, just a small container, and then you're going to take just a tiny bit of the egg yolk and put it in there. And then you're going to crumble that up with your fingers so it all gets nice and mixed up in the water, and that's what you want, because in the end that's where you're going to feed your fish. And because it crumbles up so nicely, it's in really small particles which the baby fish will be easily able to eat, which is perfect for them. So you can see it just looks like a bit of like a milky liquid basically, and that's exactly what you want, and it's got like a yellow color to it as well. So then you just want to grab your pipette and grab a bit of it and put that in there, and then you're just gonna go to your fry and you just want to spread it over the top of the surface of the water, and then they should be able to find it. And it's basically it's like you can see it's really tiny particles, which is perfect for those fry. As you can see here, they're tiny particles, but that's exactly what you need for the baby fry, because the baby fry, they're a bit too small to eat baby brine shrimp, which is the optimal food you really want. And when they grow a little bit after this, we'll be feeding them baby brine shrimp so they really grow really fast, and that should be all good. So now we're at day 7 and I haven't changed much, just kept feeding the egg yolk and also some really fine fry food. And here on day 11 I started feeding some baby brine shrimp. They wouldn't all eat it, so it's just, you know, I just gave it just to see if some of them might eat it, and some did actually, but they weren't really big enough yet to eat baby brine shrimp. By the way, if you aren't hatching baby brine shrimp yet, or you just don't know how to, I've got a tutorial on that, so go watch that. I'll link that in the top right hand corner, because that's definitely a must have to breed zebra danios. And actually any other type of fish you're looking to breed, because baby brine shrimp is just the best food ever. Anyway, we've skipped to day 14, not much has changed now, but here on day 17 something has changed. So I continued feeding baby brine shrimp, but actually today most of the fry were big enough to all eat it, so most of them had eaten and had like orange bellies. Here you can see it a little bit. I mean, they're absolutely tiny, so they're so hard to film, but yeah, they started eating it, and that's all good. So I'm feeding them about twice a day, and I think that's good enough. You could feed them a bit more often, but with twice a day they were absolutely fine, to be honest. And now we move into day 22. So basically standard procedure, just feed them baby brine shrimp twice a day, let them grow. Yeah, not much to it really, it's just that simple. They're really not difficult to breed, you know, getting the eggs isn't all that difficult. And then raising them, I would say the first few days are the most difficult, but once they, like here, day 22, and you just feed them every day, twice a day, then they're fine and they're good to go, and they're just going to grow up and get bigger. And yeah, now at day 36 things become interesting. So here you can see they really get in that shape of an adult zebra danio basically, and yeah, they're just miniature versions now. They're starting to develop those lines, those stripes, horizontal stripes, and they're just looking really good and growing really well. From this point onwards they're really gonna turbo grow. Like, I can't explain how fast they're gonna grow. Like each day you're gonna just see them getting bigger and bigger, which is amazing. That's what we want. So now in a minute I'm just gonna show you some of the older brothers and sisters. So here you can see how they look like. They're about 2 months old, I think, looking really good. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, then leave a like and get subscribed, and I'll see you guys next time.